One, Paul, two for you. First, on the bench, your view, Niko Mikkola's goal, obviously, kind of a roller coaster there. First, the puck going to Bob, and then he scores 10 seconds later. The arena, of course, and the cheers. What was it like from your perspective, kind of watching that unfold, and you kind of have some fun with that in the film room today?
So you have to understand from the bench, there's two corners, two sides of the ice. You really don't see much. You got to look at the jumbotron. So I see him spin, and then my eyes kind of get away from him. I'm just looking where everybody else is in the ice because I think this puck's coming north and almost went 5 holes. So, yeah, you don't see that very often. And then he gets up the ice and get on him, and nice little drop pass puck to the net. But he's been. I don't think either team. No, that's not true. I don't think RD have been up the ice quite as much as they were in the last series, and that is probably a function of respect of their transition game on something that gets knocked down. Like not even a turnover, just a broken play, and you're up the middle of the ice, then you got a problem. So, but he picked the right time to get up. We had good control, real nice inside pass to Lundell, and then he picked the right hole to get into.
And then on Evan Rodrigues, we talked all year about how you have the pairs of forwards that keep together. You always need that third guy. Roddy's kind of been that third guy on every line at some point. How do you know when a player can play that role and kind of be that Swiss Army knife?
You're looking for blocks of time of success. It doesn't have to dominate. It's certainly not going to last. No line does. Blocks of time, and then you probably have 3 or 4 things that we can do up front with our lines. Vladimir played with Barkey. With 3 guys that have played that left side. Reinhardt is the consistent piece. And because of injuries, then you're almost forced to look at everything, which is really, really good for you. You don't like it at the time, but when you get into a game, even last night when Barkov leaves the game, we get fairly close to lines that we've understood, that we've had to run for 5 or 6 games. So it's not, hey, I'm playing with somebody new, so I'm back playing with you again. So the adversity helps.
Front row.
Coach on Barkov, any update? Have you been able to talk with him since last night?
He came in today. He wasn't worse, so that's a really good thing. And the real assessment will be tomorrow. But if he continues to progress, we should be in good shape.
And then just second real quick, if he wasn't able to, you've used Anton to be able to fill spots whenever you have top 6 guys. Just knowing that, obviously, if it gets that scenario, just knowing that you've used him before and with how well he's been playing in the playoffs, just having the luxury of a guy like Lundell to be able to fill roles that need to be filled.
Yeah, so we have experience with Barkov out, and when you, even in this run, while he didn't miss a game, we played 5 games with Sam Bennett. So we've done it enough that everybody, if you walked in there and say, if Barkey doesn't play, what are the lines? The guys would all know probably what the lines are.
Right side, George.
Yeah. Going back to Barkov, is there a possibility that he's? I mean, do you expect him to travel with you first, and could he?
You know what, George? I don't know. I can do all the hypotheticals for you. He left. We had some things that needed to get looked at today. They got looked at, so there's nothing sinister there. So we kind of passed that. He felt better today. Feels good. But you got to give it then another 24 hours to make sure that he's still feeling strong. And if that continues to progress, then we think he'll be a player for us.
And to follow up on Niko Mikkola, the sense of humor with him, like maybe a lot of people don't talk. Like last night, it was like, he woke Bobby up or whatever. He was like, good thing Bob was awake.
He's a great personality, and I've said this kind of during the year. And we've we're always. I was going to say it'd be great if you guys could spend a lot of time with him, but then we spend a lot of time trying to make sure you guys don't spend too much time with our guys, so they're going to forget that. But he is an incredibly interesting guy. What's great is when he's coming to the bench, if there's something that's broken down, and I'm not sure if he's screaming in Finnish or it's in English, but it is funny as hell. And it's consistent. So he plays at a really high energy level. A lot of times these kind of big lanky guys you don't really think they're moving that fast, but they are. He looks like he's getting across the ice, and he competes hard. That's what we like the most of him. But he talks at a high energy level too on the bench, and that's great, right? We have some quiet players on our bench, and that's fine. That's who they are. But those guys like Mikkola, who's got nobody knows. Well, there's 4 other Finnish guys know what he's saying, but nobody else knows what he's saying.
Right side.
Well, you wake up this morning, I presume you probably watched the game again.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the hit on Barkov day after? Is your view different than maybe what it was at the time?
Well, I would view it without as much emotion, And then I don't, it's done. Refs called the penalty on the ice. The league looks at every single hit. They'll make their decision, and then we aren't dealing with that anymore today. And then part of that is just the discipline, mental discipline to leave the game where it is regardless of the result. And I don't need, I understand why you guys want to talk about it. It's a story. Should be 7 weeks of this stuff, so you got to grind too, but I'd stay out of it. It's done for me. It's all done.
Left side, second row.
Going to Edmonton now, you know they're going to come out desperate for game 3. What do you guys have to do to make sure you stay within your game and are prepared to handle their push?
Well, first you kind of reach back and take a look at what you've learned. Right? We've been in situations where there would be a heavy push by what would then be the home team. There is an advantage in it, you know, they've got 2 basic advantages going back to Edmonton, and one is that adrenaline push that they get. There's a certain freedom that comes as you get, you know, we get moved further into series for both teams. There's not 10 games left, we know that. And also, the last match at home, right? That's the other thing they get to do. So, I'm going to make very sure I don't walk into the room any differently than I have at any other point in time for a road game. We're a pretty good road team. They're an excellent home team, as you would understand.
Not particularly about Barkov, but how do you think that the star players in the Oilers are protected
Yeah, I do.
well enough?
Yes, I do. I think overall, in that area, the game has never been as in good a shape as it is now. There just aren't players on the ice. First of all, there's just, I don't even know if there's any players on the ice who are consistently being suspended because they take shots at star players. You just don't see it. And there's, I think the players respect each other on the ice. It's the fun. The stakes are high. The hits are finished. I have no problem with that. We'd like both teams to stay 100% healthy straight through it. That would be fair for two. It's not just players; it's the organizations. Work so hard to get there. That would be the perfect world. But I think the league and the player, more importantly, the players themselves, do take care of each other on the ice.
Front row left.
Paul, last night as you came to talk to the media after the game, you didn't necessarily look like the coach who was up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Final series.
Oh, he's grumpy. I'm allowed.
Seem to be in a lot better mood today. Would you please talk us through that emotional roller coaster that you go through post game to the morning after?
Yeah, I am. I try to present myself honestly. I would have measured my words. I know going into that press conference that shut up. Like I'm telling myself, just shut up. Because it's emotional, right? You're wired. So I tried to keep it short. I know I'm being a bit of a jerk to you, and you guys don't deserve it. You didn't do anything wrong. But that's how I felt. That's exactly what I was feeling. But I don't think that's true what I just said to you. You didn't get to see what I was feeling. So the manifestation of it was just grumpy grinding his teeth. But I didn't swear, I don't think. No. The jar is empty. And I want our team to have the mental discipline to leave the game at the night. So you got my emotion from the game last night, and that one's gone. So today is my off day. It's pouring rain in Florida. I'm okay.
Left side, front row.
Are you a big Oprah fan?
I'm sorry?
Are you a big Oprah fan? I'm sorry.
How I'm feeling, I like that.
They came back and played, but looked a little scary. It was Draisaitl and Ekblad. How did they come to it okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. And just because you guys were so banged up last year, you are healthy sort of now. Is that kind of a blessing? I mean, with the depth you have and
Yeah, it's a complete blessing. I mean, we were beat to death. So Ekblad had a broken foot. It popped his shoulder out twice, and it strained or torn an oblique. And I think he did 3 of those in the Boston series. How much fun was that? 6 weeks for him. Bennett broke his foot and didn't tell anybody. If you don't tell a trainer, he doesn't know that shot block hurt. And at the end of the season, he said, "Yeah, you probably should X-ray my foot." And he broke. We had a whole bunch of those, right? So we're lucky, and that's the fear of all of this for the Oilers and for us. It changes on a hit. You go from your team looks a certain way to loose the run and blocks a shot and it's over, and now your team looks different. That is the risk, I guess. I don't take it. The risk the players take in a full contact sport.
Is it luck? Some of it.
Some of it is. Yeah, you know, like that puck hits Lusty 2 inches lower. You know, it's a great shot block, and we're high-fiving everybody, and we look a little bit different. So there is that element.
Take 2 more
So
questions.
the practices, like the day before a series starts, they're almost fun to watch, right? If you do any kind of competition drills, they're all about 5 feet off each other. They just, nobody wants any of that to happen.
2 more for coach, right side, second row.
Paul, you guys, I think, only allowed 7 shots on goal in the first 2 periods. I can't imagine that's something that happens to Edmonton often. Just what did you like when you went back and rewatched, like, the defensive performance?
I thought it was an extension of our third period. We play a fairly hard gap game defensively. If you are off, the Edmonton Oilers more than any other team in the league, if you're off that gap by a few feet, you're not even wrong, right? On the video, I can't say, why are you 50 feet off this guy? You're only 3 feet off the guy. And I understand why human nature says you have to give ice to some of these players. They're so fast, but you can't get caught in the gray area playing this game that we play, and I thought we were pretty courageous with our gap.
Last question, back left. Just please wait for the microphone.
Hi, Paul. You talked about some of the funny stuff that happened last night. That was even a sleeper hold there at the end of the game.
I've got about 5 minutes left to go in the game.
I'm sorry?
I'm not joking. I haven't got to that sleeper hold part.
I was going to say, is it more difficult for players to adapt? I guess the rule book is not the same now as it is maybe in October.
I don't know, like 3 or 4 of those calls I would consider light. It's not a complaint, but you want the hitting in the game, right? I don't feel that the rule book, I don't feel like we played 4 games, regular season games against Boston that were every bit as heavy as every playoff game we've played. Possibly with the exception of the 6 games we played against Boston, which were brutal, right? As heavy and as mean as I've ever seen it. So I don't feel this is an overly physical series. This is a fast series from bench level. I walk away going, oh my God, these guys can get up and down the ice. Both teams. The transition speed is awesome. So that's the way I view the series. I don't find it that there's a little blow up, and that's going to happen with the intensity, but there's not continuous scrums, kind of like our entire Boston series from last year. They dropped the puck just to end the scrums.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Okay. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
Did Barkov wear the pink bunny slippers this morning or the blue bunny slippers?